What's up, y'all? My name is John. Welcome back to Fealys Clutch. If you're new here, consider subscribing and hit that notification bell. Turn the notifications to all and make sure you have your notifications set to active so that you can know every time we post a video. Today, we're going to get back to the education side of it. And a lot of people buy snakes without really knowing how to hold them or care for them or anything really. Like, a lot of people buy their first snake as an impulsive buy just because they think it's really cool or they think it'd be neat to have an exotic animal. So I want to do a series where we talk about all the different little things that I think you should kind of know before you jump into owning a snake. So if you're interested in that and you want to learn more, go ahead and stay tuned. So I actually have 5 different species that I work with here in our snake room, or throughout our house, I guess is what you could say. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a small ball python, and then we're going to move our way up to a bigger ball python to kind of show you different ways, and then we're going to move our way up to a longer snake, and then a snake with some actual weight and size to it, so that you kind of get the feeling or the adjustments you need to make with each one. So here we have a small ball python. This is just a little normal ball python. The babies are pretty easy to handle. Like, you just want to support the center of their body. When you're lifting them up, you want to make sure you're holding near the tail, because that's the strongest, or near the strongest point of their body, and you want to hold near the center so that their weight is evenly distributed. They don't feel jittery. Like, you can tell she's kind of trying to look around. This one likes to explore a lot. But what you want to do is you just want to support their body weight all the way throughout. Make sure you don't have a giant sag like that or anything, just so you're not putting undue stress on their spine. Now, granted, you got to understand that these animals are basically just one giant muscle, but as we know, muscles can strain, get pulled, all that good stuff, and if it happens to them, it's a lot more detrimental than... Another thing that I think is really big when you're handling all of your snakes, regardless of the size, regardless of the type, is you need to work on their head. Now, snakes are very head shy. They don't like their head touched, but as they grow older, the size of the snake gets bigger. The likelihood of a snake hurting you if it bites you increases a lot. So you want to work with them from the time they're young all the way to the time that they grow up, and just kind of handle them the way a kid would, in a sense, but be smart about it, if that makes sense. You want to kind of handle them the way a kid would, so that they're used to a little bit of roughness and being handled in places that they wouldn't normally like, just so that they know, and so that they're easier to work with as they grow older. Okay, when you get to the larger ones, I'm going to do the same thing. So you could technically pick up by the back. If he stays balled up, you basically just hold him in one hand, unless you're small. Did you just pee on me? But even with the larger guys, this is about as big as most people will get their breeder males. As you can tell, this guy's got some age to him. He's got a pretty decent sized head, and the head's one of the things that you can tell a lot about the snake from, because that's the one portion of the snake that doesn't really stop growing. So the older it gets, the bigger that head's gonna get. There's different methods that you can use to support the snake. Like, you can let it rest on your arms. You can do like we were doing with the small one. The big thing is you just don't want to let it have a large droop, and you want to support that snake all the way throughout. And with the larger ones, they're obviously going to have more control of their body because they've been doing this a lot longer. Now, there are different methods for holding it, like I spoke of. A lot of people will kind of use their neck as the snakes get bigger, because it's easier to hold something with weight. This way, you're still supporting the animal. They have places to cling on to. They'll usually wrap around something, as you can see, He's wrapping around my neck because he doesn't feel comfortable. He's trying to find his secure spot, right? The big thing with snakes is, even with this guy, like, if you're a grown adult, you're gonna be able to pull this off. But once you start getting into the bigger snakes like boas, retics, you can find yourself in a little bit of peril because these guys get a little bit bigger, they're a little bit stronger, and they're not as easy to handle by themselves. So once you get into, I would say, anything that surpasses about 7 to 10 feet, anything beyond that, I would definitely look at having a second person in the room with you while you're working with that animal. Not saying that those animals will hurt you, but there's always the possibility. But it's really simple. Again, when you want to get them to let go, you just grab by the tail, you'll unwind, and as you're going, make sure you support the body like we were talking about before. Alright, so once you get into the larger snakes, not that this guy's massive, but since he is a corn snake, he likes to move around a lot. He's a lot faster. Again, you want to support the body, looking towards the head and the tail, making sure they have somewhere to grip onto. And these guys will move a lot, so you want to just basically continuously give them somewhere to roam. Alright, so those are the smaller snakes. You're looking at like 3 to 5 foot range. Pretty easy to handle by yourself. The one thing I will say is, when you start working with a bigger snake, or a snake that will eventually be fairly large, you want to do tap training as they're growing up. And that's why I really promote getting those snakes at a very young age, so that you learn their personality, you get the opportunity to really work with them and get to know them and get them taught to your mannerisms and you learn theirs. That way you guys kind of flow and mesh as they grow older and you're doing your feedings and your cleanings and all that. And usually what I'll do is I'll actually run down the body a little bit just to make sure they're not bucking, they're actually comfortable, they're ready to be picked up. And you got to be careful when you're hooked or using a hook, because the hook, if used improperly, can actually hurt your snake. She's gonna fight this, which is okay. We're gonna do it anyways. Just take it nice and slow. Let them do their thing. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I heard that. I'll go on potty.
Was that her
That
bowels?
was her stomach. Let's go. Let's get off that cage, huh? Let me hold you. There you go. Now they're going to do the same thing as the ball pythons or any other snake. They're going to look for support. It's the same thing with these guys. You want to work their heads. You want to work their whole body. You just want them to kind of get used to being touched. That way, when time comes, you're not going to be hurt. But if you watch, we're supporting her body the whole way throughout. She doesn't have a major area where she's sagging, nothing like that. And we're giving her the opportunity to go where she wants, and we just let her flow. So I hope you guys enjoyed all those snakes. I love all my babies. I hope you learned a couple of things, or I kind of gave you some tricks or ideas on how you should handle a snake. If you have tips on things that you didn't see in this video, if you're experienced, go ahead and throw them down in the comments below. Let me know if you already have snakes, or if you're planning to get your first snake. Give this a thumbs up. Go hit that subscribe button. Share this with all your buddies so that we can get rid of that fear that a lot of people have over snakes, because it's just, I'm not going to say it's unwarranted, because I'm not going to say that someone's phobia isn't warranted, but the fear comes from unknowing. So what we're trying to do here is teach people so that they're not as scared. Y'all stay blessed, and we're going to see you soon.